Hey YouTube, it's Harry here. So it's been a while. Life happened, I guess. Um, but I'm here with kind of a big update. So um, let's just cut right to the chase, shall we? Tomorrow I will be having my first session of hormone replacement therapy. So among other things, I went to the doctor earlier in the week and got cleared, and I picked it up at the pharmacy yesterday, and I go in tomorrow and they're going to teach me how to do injections, and there I am. I've almost started it. I'm almost on my journey of medical transition. It's weird. It's very weird. So I guess part of me, I'll go through kind of the journey that got me there and to this point, and part of me wants to just kind of just document my thoughts this last night. So, what's gotten me there? So I went to the doctor about 2 months ago, and it was kind of a big step because I hadn't been to a doctor in like over 10 years, except for other more major health concerns of a couple of little incidences, but no like actual primary care doctor for over 10 years. And I finally have insurance, it's decent, and so I was like, I'm gonna go, I need to do this. And even then I waited fucking 5 months, so that's ridiculous. But I went to the doctor, and it was a jarring experience because I didn't know what to expect, and it was weird, and I should probably talk about that at some point, but I, for some reason, felt the desire and the need, and I felt safe or whatever to bring up the fact that I did want to possibly have hormones, but I didn't want to at that time. I knew I wasn't ready. I hadn't gone through a lot of the steps that I guess I felt like I needed to, emotionally and mentally, and so I didn't. But she was like, "Okay, we'll follow up in 2 months. We'll see how you're feeling." And so 2 months was this week, and in that meantime, I kind of just sat with the idea that, I can do this. It's within my power. It's up to me at this point. If I want to do it, do I want to do this? And the answer in my heart was yes. The answer in my brain was there are so many other things, and I have to come out to family, and I have to come out in my profession, and I'm graduating soon, and I am going to be potentially moving and getting a new job, and so many things. But it was like, well, what is making me happy? Is this the way? And I really just sat with it, and I was like, if I don't start this, will I be upset? And the answer is yes. I will regret not starting this at some point, especially now. And so, living with that and working through some of those basically just, false arguments in my mind. It was the illogical side of my brain that was just like, well, what about this and what about this? And like just completely arbitrary arguments that had nothing to do with what I was actually feeling and what I actually wanted, but were in the way. And the more I worked on those, the more I realized how ridiculous my thought processes were. It's, in one way though, it's so terrifying, and not from I'm excited, I'm very excited. Hey bud. Earl wants to be in this. Say hi to Earl. Anyway, it's terrifying because I do want this so much, but it is such a commitment. And like, I can only imagine, like, I haven't gotten a tattoo mainly because it sounds terrifying. Hi. It sounds absolutely like that is permanent, and it's not even permanent. Like, we have great ways to remove tattoos now. Or like marriage. I imagine this is what someone feels like prior to their marriage. Like, it is probably the freakiest shit in the world in your mind, such a mind game, like, I'm gonna have to do this for the rest of my life. And yeah, we know that's not true. That's obviously the ideal. We want to do this for the rest of our lives. And you're freaking out. You're wondering, like, is this the right decision? Am I making, am I in sound mind? And is this okay? And I can imagine that being scary, even though you know deep down that that is the person who you want to be with for the rest of your life. And even like buying a car, that's a huge couple grand investment. Depending on the car, it could be many more grand. So that's a huge investment. It's like, am I making the right decision? Am I going to regret this decision in 5 years if my brakes and transmission and everything start to go? Like, there's a lot of times that we're faced with that commitment, and it's always jarring and it's always terrifying. I remember buying my first car, and your hand is shaking as you're trying to sign documents. You're like, am I doing the right thing? Am I going to regret this? And it's a very similar thing, it feels like. And I mean, if we're being honest, testosterone, well, there are things that are permanent. I've done my research, I've read all that stuff. There's plenty that isn't. Like, I could, if I wanted to, quote, detransition and go back to living as a female, and yeah, my fat would redistribute, my hair would still be grown like long, or more coarse, or more prominent. My voice would still be deep, but we also have male to female trans people who are raising that voice up. Like, I could do that. Like, there's so much that I could overcome if that was a thing. So it really just comes down to, those are just false leads, and I didn't want to have to deal with this at that time. The biggest thing is going to be telling family. The biggest thing is going to be the changes, and then having to tell family, because I haven't told my family yet. And it's not that I seek validation from them. They just are an important part of my life, and I obviously see them regularly, or somewhat regularly, and talk to them somewhat regularly. And so it's going to be hard to hide, and that's going to be hard to hide probably rather sooner than later. And so it's figuring out that whole can of worms, and figuring out how to fully come out to like family, friends, and all of that, because I haven't done it en masse. And that seems terrifying, but what if I just don't like how I feel on it after a month or 2 months? Like, what if it just is completely adverse? I don't have to continue with it, so why go through that emotional trauma, essentially, of telling them? So I guess that's kind of my mindset. But let me tell you what, it is exciting and scary at the same time. Like, I'm not even scared of the fact that I'm going to have to, like, inject myself with something. That is actually not what I'm worried about. I'm not even sure what I am worried about, because part of me is very excited. Like, so much of me. And it's actually kind of crazy, even like this week, but I've noticed in the past couple weeks how much more confidence I've had, knowing that this is the decision that I've had come to, that I was going to say this at this doctor's appointment, and that I was going to pursue it and continue with it. And there has been a different kind of confidence that I have not felt, or really, I don't know what to do with it. And that's a whole other journey, but it's very exciting. And so, I mean, like, crazy things I wonder about. Is he going to hate me and think I'm a different person and wonder where I went because my hormones are going to change? Like, that is a very big concern, because he is like the biggest person in my life right now. And by person, I mean dog and thing. And so, yeah, it's just like the little things. Like, when I go home, is that dog going to like think I'm different and going to give it away and not going to like me anymore? Or, my family is very Trump loving and very conservative, and I think that they have it within them to come to the correct decisions, but I don't know. There's very much a guess, and there's a very much a guess with all of the people in my life who don't know yet, and even the people who sort of do, because they have to go through that change as well, and that is terrifying and scary and so scary. But I have changed my life and moved, and I changed careers. I've moved to 3 different states. I've done a lot, And for some reason, it's always that same feeling. It's the build up before and the wait. And the wait is coming, and it's just like culminating to now. And so it's like the night before you move, like the night before your first day at work or whatever, and you don't know what to think, you don't know what's gonna do, and like you almost have to go on autopilot. And so that's where we're at. I feel like I need to figure out like what I'm gonna do to track it, or what I want to see and what I want to expect in myself, because this is an important journey. But I haven't done that yet. And honestly, part of this too, and there was a kind of a loss of a person in my life also happened this week, and I was thinking about it, and it was like, a lot of this is also a mourning, and like the family and friends have to go through this, but also for me, it's a mourning of like who I used to be. Not that like I'm changing, but who I am is sort of changing. Like I'm not saying that, the female version of me is dying, but it's obviously going to become smaller and smaller and not shown to many people. And so that's terrifying. Like, I don't know how to do this. And like, I'm choosing to do this. And that's just crazy. It's just rough. There's a lot of emotions. And for the first time in a really long time, I can feel them. So that's great. But what do you do with them when they're really strong emotions? That's what I don't know. And so we'll see how the journey starts. We'll see how this all works out. But tomorrow's the day. Tomorrow's the day. So maybe I'll take some video tomorrow and let you know how I feel that first day. That's it. It's a good time. I'm very excited. I feel like, you see the young guys who are just so pumped, like that's all they can think of is like, I finally get it. I finally get it. I've wanted this for so long. And it feels like that's all they're doing. They're just so jazzed about having it. And like, I have that excitement. I really, really do. But I'm also just so freaking terrified, probably because of the commitment issues. But I'm so freaking terrified, and I'm scared, but that scared leads me to curiosity of what it's going to be like, which is how I know it's right. I know this is right, and I am confident in my decision. I'm not unconfident, but I do have mixed emotions about it because it is a huge step, and it's just kind of crazy. Anyway, I've rambled long enough. You'll see some updates from me, but this is it. This is my last day without testosterone pumping through my veins. Yeah, this is it. Hope you all have a good night, and you'll see me later in a different way, hopefully. See ya.